Hey guys, I'm really excited to announce that registration is now open for the Self Storage Summit. So go to theselfstoragesummit.com. So the big question is this: how are those in the self-storage industry like us going to be successful in today's market? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jim Ross, and welcome to the Self Storage Show. Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross, the Self Storage Show. Today's episode, doing our Storage Spotlight series, I got Adam Pogoda with me. Adam's the Director of Acquisitions with Pogoda Companies. So how's it going?
Going great, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's always kind of fun, having people that I haven't met before. So first off, nice to meet you. So gotta start off there.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How'd you get in the storage game?
Well, so, I joke that I never really had much of a choice. My father, Maurice Pogoda, started the company in 1987. The company is still the largest operator of storage in Michigan, and we also have a presence in Ohio as well. I started stuffing our mailers when we still did mailers when I was, I think, 10 years old. And then when I got my driver's license, I was a relief manager on the weekends in high school. And have been involved to some extent with the business since I started business school. And I officially joined 2 years ago after spending about 10 years investing in office and multifamily in New York City and Miami.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a change to go from, in looking at million square foot office buildings in Manhattan to, 60,000 square foot drive up storage facilities in, random towns in Michigan. But really the fun is, finding deals, buying deals, and then executing business plans and working with our operations team to kind of hopefully do better on every single one. So it's been a great ride so far, and we've got a bunch of deals in the works right now. So it's been great.
Oh, cool. I bet you do. It's crazy right now with all the deals and everything that's going on. It makes my head spin half the time. So I love the fact that you were a relief manager. That made my day. That's
Well, it's funny. I've been I've actually been a subscriber to your podcast for about a year.
Oh, nice.
And it's funny to hear you and a bunch of people you speak with starting as a manager and working up to the point where you have your own management company. You're now a whiz in the business and super knowledgeable. So I don't think I have the same extensive on the ground experience, but I was every Saturday, Sunday for sophomore, junior year of high school.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it's I just like that. Not to say it's better or worse. It's just nice to have that perspective. Even if it's
Right.
for the time being a little bit, doesn't matter. It's nice to have that perspective. So that's all I like about it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you were recently at the SSA show in Vegas, as was I, but that was a crazy couple of days, so I passed it crowd. That's why I reached out to you. I'm like,
Right.
I want to hear about your roundtable. You were talking about kind of the challenges, buying, developing storage, and we're kind of at the end of the cycle as people are predicting right now. So I was wanting to kind of pick your brain a little bit on that and how'd that go?
Absolutely. So, we're in this point of the investment cycle where it's been 10 years of run up, and it's funny, our company sold a portfolio at the end of 2014 because we're like, all right, it's already been 5 years into this run up. We've had double digit revenue growth every year since 2010. How much, and we're in this low 6 caps in Michigan. How much better can things get? And 5 years later, it's funny, the portfolio we sold is actually back on the market because they've executed their business plan. It's at the end of their fund life. And from our perspective, it's been really interesting and challenging to find these deals because most of the portfolio is being sold by either the big private equity groups or REITs having managed on behalf of a private equity group.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of meat on the bone for those types of acquisitions. So for us, we need to deliver a certain level of returns to our investors. We, need to generally have some sort of value add component to a deal. And as much as we'd love to be doing, 70, 80, $100 million deals, we just haven't really seen as much of an opportunity to, do better than those guys on some of those projects. So I've really been kind of picking our spots on the, one-off mom and pop run kind of assets.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that story a lot. Quite frankly, lately, it's like I said, there's no meat on the bones left. It's really
Right.
hard to find a site that's worth it. Quite frankly, especially for what they're looking for now and what the prices are. I'm like, okay, I can buy it for that, but now what?
Do you want to own it at that number?
Yeah, there's only one upside you can really go for on that. So no, I hear you.
I mean, we closed the deal at the end of August, and we're under contract to close one probably the next 3-4 weeks. And it's funny now as I'm in the kind of equity raising and going through the process with my lenders, telling them the story. And this is kind of where I think a lot of the opportunity is right now, is to just hang around the hoop on these deals. Because for one of these assets, I put in my first offer last October. The other one last December, and now almost a year later, we're going to be closing on these two deals.
What's taking so long? I mean, you put the offer hanging around, but just other offers are dropping off, kind of a thing. And you're just
so the one we closed, 3 weeks ago, it was a situation where, I liked it at a number. The broker called me and said, so and so is about 12-15% higher than you, and I said, good luck. And they said we're going to give them we're going to give them 90 days diligence because they really feel as though they can kind of hit our ask. I said, God bless. 90 days later, I followed up. I said, hey, whatever happened to this deal, we're still interested. And, next thing you know, we got it at our number. We actually found a bunch of deficiencies in the property, which is kind of a friendly way of putting it, for what was a 2017 completion. Yeah. And we're able to kind of get further price reductions, and we closed a few weeks ago.
The site was built in 2017. They're already trying to flip it.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too crazy, but
yeah. It's just curious how that plays out, because I mean, you got to find those kind of sites, and like I said, you're just patient enough to stick around and just make sure you kind of put your hat in the ring just to give yourself a shot for these sites.
Yeah, it's funny. And then the deal we closed in March was one that we first bid on through an auction.com process in 2017. And another one where there was a crazy situation that occurred with the various parties. We kind of hung around the hoop, followed up, and essentially found out that they were considering putting it back on the market this year. And ultimately, Maurice thought it was going to be too much work. I said, well, that's why I'm here. And
I get big bucks, yeah.
And another deal where, I actually, the seller was really, I think, doing a really good job on the operation side. But their hands were tied really from their equity partner, where they weren't allowed to kind of fix some of the, essentially do some of the deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
Where, we went in this year, it was completed in 2007, but the office was still in a trailer parked in a loading dock. And so we built out the loading dock. We made the conversion to LED lights. We re-insulated large portions of the property, really kind of focused on expense reductions, because we did think that the seller was doing a really good job on the revenue management side. So I think, we'll find out in 6 months, but hopefully we'll have cut expenses, about 10% across the board of the property. But my point is that a lot of these deals, it's like so much, it's hard to just go in and pay the ask, because, these numbers that people are asking right now are so crazy, but a lot of times the brokers and the sellers aren't getting their number. And we've seen opportunity in kind of following up, throwing out which numbers that in New York would have been, obnoxious,
Yeah.
20, 30% off the ask. And because in New York, if it doesn't trade within 5% or even above the ask, it's a rare kind of occurrence. Whereas in a lot of these, secondary, tertiary markets, you can buy something for 20, 30% off the ask, and just kind of because the full ask number scared away so many potential buyers.
Yeah, interesting. It's a different climate, and honestly, I'm still learning myself. I don't have a skin in the game when it comes to any stored sites or anything like that. So I'm learning, from people that are, have that part of the business down pat. So, but it's so funny how many people I see now are, like you said, for the ones that are actually have brokers and they're being listed, and it's just like a kind of a feeding frenzy at times. That they're just trying to kind of circumvent that, and they're just trying to go and just do these unsolicited offers as much as they can to storage owners. I had a storage owner here that, my gosh, we haven't even opened up yet, and he's getting people like, I'll give you this, I'll give you this. It's like, we haven't even rented our first unit yet, and it used to be the REITs that were doing that, quite frankly.
Right.
And now it's just your, other investment people, like you guys or whatever, that are trying to come in and just get anything that they can. So it's interesting.
Absolutely.
Ones that are actually listed versus the ones that are just, hey, unsolicited offers. So.
Right. But the problem with a lot of the properties, it's the rare storage property, especially, there's the institutional quality assets, and then there's kind of the rural 20,000 square foot sites with, gravel drives. But all the institutional grade assets, whether it's owned by, a mom and pop or a REIT, well, unless it's owned by a REIT, but if it's owned by a REIT managing on behalf of somebody else, they're getting phone calls every day. And one of the challenges is so many of these groups, whether it's a brokerage shop or one of the super active private equity shops, they'll call the guy and say, I'll pay you $10 million for your property. And, for me, I might say, oh, man, we all know it's not worth more than 8. And they're throwing out these big numbers to the sellers in hopes that they get them interested, kind of get them down the road. And some groups, their MO is just to try to retrade once they're already kind of in negotiations, have a contract signed, stuff like that. So that's another challenge with a lot of the unsolicited offers, because on all the kind of investment grade product, there's a lot of smart, aggressive people out there, making a lot of phone calls, and a lot of these brokerage shops that have a team of, 22-year-olds fresh out of college that are just cold calling, all around the country. So that's another, that's another challenge where, there's a property we've been kind of circling for a long time. I think it's worth 9.5 to 10. They just got an offer at 13 from one of these groups. And I said, we all, our numbers aren't that different. I know you need a new roof. I know you need new asphalt. I know you've got this and that deficiency. We're all going to get to the same place, but I'm telling you up, so it's kind of one of those, when you are making those unsolicited phone calls, what you end up dealing with is the fact that the brokerage shops and the big kind of buyers these days are making all those same calls. So it's challenging.
Oh, I bet. Oh, plus I'm sure, like I said before, once they start getting into it and doing due diligence, you're going to kind of get back down to the number that you probably gave them in the first place.
Right.
That's why it's important to just be.
And then because the thing is, most of these groups, at least on like the private equity side, they're so incentivized to put money out the door. Where they might, a lot of these guys have $1 billion funds, and they've got to spend it within 3 years. So, and one of the things that, our general MO is, for better or worse, we probably over improve our properties. We're probably, we might repaint the doors or replace the doors or replace the roof or the asphalt 2, 3, 5 years earlier than other people. But we like to believe that it adds value, that the tenant might not know why they're staying 3 more months, or might not know why they're recommending or referring a friend to your store. But we think that those things really matter in the long run. And that's one of the things that we're noticing. A lot of the guys that are growing really quickly, they don't have any capital budget in their number. They're changing the sign, throwing on a coat of paint, and then, hoping that rents keep running, 4, 6, 7% a year. So
sometimes that's good for the short term, but that's not a good long-term strategy. So
right.
Good to know you guys are doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, are you kind of still like I said in Michigan? Are you kind of focusing definitely in that area? Are you looking outside of there? Or are you just keeping it more regional?
So we used to have a much larger Ohio presence. So we're trying to kind of build back up that Ohio presence. So the one we closed on in August was, Ohio. The 2 that are supposed to close next month are also in Ohio. The goal is, the thesis has always been within a 5-hour drive of the home office.
Gotcha.
Whereas far north is like, again, if you're from Michigan, whereas far north is up here, whereas far west is over here, and then we go, that's kind of how people in Michigan communicate. But we're within a 5-hour drive, and, we've been looking at portfolios in St. Louis and Miami and, all these ones that have kind of been popping up. But again, the prices are very full, and it's tough to be able to tell your investors why you can give them the return they're looking for and do better than, a group that already has a big presence there, or, outperform the REITs or whatever it might be. Because in our markets, we like to believe that because we're local, because we've been here for so long, that we can outperform our much bigger competitors. But in another market, a lot of times it's hard to make that argument. And, I understand, why would you invest with me when you can go, at a lot of times buy public storage stock, because those guys are great at what they do. So that's kind of you got to make the argument that we're going to be able to give you an outsized return based on our business plan.
Yep. And I've made that argument for both sides.
Right.
I totally get it. So kind of put you on the spot for as far as, for the people that are trying to get into this that are outside your 5-hour drive.
Sure.
Not your competitors, but the people are just trying to get into this. I mean, any kind of parting words of advice for them to try to get their best shot and start being able to play in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of the business comes down to kind of the basics and the fundamentals. It's, where are your demand drivers coming from? How is the city growing? And really with self-storage purchases, it's, where's your basis? What's your last dollar per square foot? And, so many of these deals, and, we've been looking at a bunch of development. We're working on a couple conversion projects right now. And, knowing that, I get calls all the time, I want to develop in, this city in Michigan. And I say, well, if you build a 3 or 4 story property over there and rents are only, $10 a foot, that's not going to pencil.
Yeah.
So like just being focused on your basis, knowing where, if you think that this city is growing for this reason because this employer is moving here or whatever the story might be, and it's undersupplied, I'd say, just focus on those markets. Depending on where you are in your career with all these things, either the easy part is raising the money or the hard part is raising the money. But I generally think, and this is, if it's a good deal, you're going to find the money. You're going to be able to communicate to whoever it might be that this is a good deal. You're going to make money here because these fundamentals pencil.
Yep.
So I think, just kind of get back to basics with a lot of this stuff.
Kind of funny how it always goes back to just keeping it simple sometimes and just going to the basics.
Yeah, I mean,
yep. Don't get fancy.
The first property we bought this year, we bought it at like $35-40 a foot, and it was undermanaged, hadn't been improved since it was built in 1984, and the big fear with everybody was like, well, he's only 40% leased for a reason.
Ooh.
Right?
Wow.
But, I just kept saying there are the demand drivers here. This company up the road just added another 1,000 employees. If we go do the roofs, asphalt, doors, paint, and create and have a real professional manager there, that takes credit card, or this guy didn't take credit card,
Jeez.
and all those kind of things. I said all the drivers are there, and we're going to be at a basis that's half, once we do all this work, half of where everything else is trading. I said, whether it's next year or in 3 years, like, we're going to make money here.
Yeah.
And I think those are the kind of things where you kind of got to boil it down to just the simple numbers and hope you get there.
Well, those are the best kind of sites. You see the ones that are like that. It's just glowing opportunities. So, yep.
Well, but unfortunately, that's kind of, unfortunately, where we're seeing the demand or the opportunity is in these heavy lift, lot of work kind of assets where there is, that kind of big value add component. And the REITs aren't doing it. A lot of the big private equity shops, they're designed to go buy a 6 cap and put on 3% debt.
Yeah.
So I think there are those opportunities in the real value add deals. And luckily we have an amazing team here that can do the construction and do the lease up.
Well, that leads right into, tell me a little about your team. If people want to, have been listening to this episode, want to get more and hear more about what you guys do, and maybe help you out, give us some information.
Oh, well, all of our team members all have, like our head of operations, John George, started working with Dean Jernigan in 1994. He used to run, 140 stores for CubeSmart before he came over to our company. Our other regional managers have experience with Public Storage, Simply, Extra Space, and Devon. So we've got, guys with either public or private, big national management firms. And we've just got a fantastic team, and we're really lucky.
Oh, that's great.
So
if people want to reach out to you, what's a good contact info for you?
My email address, apogoda@pogodaco.com.
It's spelled Pogoda, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's so apogoda@pogodaco.com.
There we go. It's a lot of O's.
Yeah.
And no,
I know. People always misspell my name. I actually have been meaning to get the most common misspelling as a handle. So, when people misspell it, it still comes to me.
You should. Exactly. Like
I did it. I actually did that at my old company, but anyway.
That's funny. That's what
Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, it was great. Nice to meet you. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks for supporting the show. I want to let you know that we've just opened up our brand new free private Facebook group. There I'll be having some extra special content not found anywhere else. If you really want your facility to be a success in today's market, then this is going to be the place for you. You can request to join us at selfstoragecommunity.com or search for Self Storage Domination Community on Facebook.